Question 1. What type of government does Australia have? A presidential republic. B. A direct democracy. C. A constitutional monarchy and parliamentary democracy. D. A communist state. Answers is C. A constitutional monarchy and parliamentary democracy. Australia operates under a system that combines a constitutional monarchy, with the king as head of state, and a parliamentary democracy, where the people elect representatives to make laws. Question 2. Who is Australia's head of state? A. The Prime Minister. B. The King of Australia. D. The monarch's representative in each state. Answers is C. The King of Australia. Australia is a constitutional monarchy, and the King of Australia is its head of state, that represents the King in Australia. Question 3. What are the 3 levels of government in Australia? A. Local, regional, national. B. Federal, local. C. Urban, rural, metropolitan. D. Executive, legislative, judicial. Answers is B. Federal, local. Australia has 3 levels of government: federal, which governs the entire nation, which governs individual states, and local, which governs specific regions and. Question 4. What is the name of the National Parliament of Australia? A. The National Assembly. B. The Commonwealth Parliament. C. The Australian Congress. D. The Federal Council. Answers is B. The Commonwealth Parliament. The National Parliament of Australia is known as the Commonwealth Parliament. It consists of the King, represented by the and 2 houses, the Senate and the House of. Question 5. What are the 2 houses of the Australian Federal Parliament? A. The Upper House and the Lower House. B. The House of Lords and the House of Commons. C. The Senate and the House of. D. The Legislative Assembly and the Legislative Council. Answers is C. The Senate and the House of. The Australian Federal Parliament is bicameral, meaning it has 2 houses, the Senate, the upper house representing states, and the House of the lower house representing the people. Question 6. What is the role of the A. To lead the government as Prime Minister? B. To command the armed forces independently. C. To represent the King in Australia. D. To act as the Chief Justice of Australia. Answers is C. To represent the King in Australia. There is the King's representative in Australia. There include appointing ministers, assenting to legislation, and presiding over the Federal Executive Council. Question 7. Who is the leader of the Australian government? A. The King. B. The Chief Justice. D. The Prime Minister. Answers is D. The Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is the head of the Australian government and leads the executive branch. They are typically the leader of the political party or coalition that holds the majority in the House of. Question 8. What is the name of Australia's national anthem? A. God Save the King. B. Waltzing Matilda. C. Advance Australia Fair. D. I Am Australian. Answers is C. Advance Australia Fair. Advance Australia Fair was proclaimed as the national anthem of Australia in 1984. It is played at official and ceremonial occasions, representing the nation's pride and aspirations. Question 9. When is Australia Day celebrated? A. April, B. January, C. January, D. December. Answers is C. January. Australia Day is celebrated on January each year, commemorating the arrival of the First Fleet at Sydney Cove in 1788 and the proclamation of British sovereignty over the eastern seaboard of New Holland. Question 10. What event does Anzac Day commemorate? A. The arrival of the First Fleet. B. The landing of Australian and New Zealand soldiers at Gallipoli in 1915. C. The Federation of Australia. D. The end of World War. Answers is B. The landing of Australian and New Zealand soldiers at Gallipoli in 1915. Anzac Day, April, commemorates the bravery and sacrifice of the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps Anzacs who landed at Gallipoli during World War I, and honours all Australians who have served and died in wars. Question 11. What is the Australian national floral emblem? A. The bee, the kangaroo paw. C. The golden wattle. D. The eucalyptus gum. Answers is C. The golden wattle. The golden wattle acacia was officially proclaimed Australia's national floral emblem in 1988. Its yellow flowers and green leaves reflect the national colours of green and gold. Question 12. What two native animals are on the Australian coat of arms? A. Koala and wombat. B. Kookaburra and platypus. C. Kangaroo and emu. D. Dingo and crocodile. Answers is C. Kangaroo and emu. The kangaroo and the emu were chosen for the coat of arms because they are unique Australian animals and are unable to walk backwards, symbolising a nation always moving forward. Question 13. What are the colours of the Australian national flag? A. Green and gold. B. Blue, white and red. C. Black, red and yellow. D. Blue and white. Answers is B. Blue, white and red. The Australian national flag is predominantly blue, featuring the Union Jack in the upper hoist quarter, a large white star, the Commonwealth Star, and the Southern Cross constellation in white. Question 14. Which symbol on the Australian national flag represents the Commonwealth of Australia? A. The Union Jack. B. The Southern Cross. C. The Commonwealth Star. D. The red stripe. Answers is C. The Commonwealth Star. The large white star, known as the Commonwealth Star, represents the Federation of Australia. Its 7 points symbolise the 6 original states and the combined. Question 15. What does the Union Jack on the Australian national flag represent? A. Australia's connection to Asia. B. Australia's history as a British colony. C. The unity of Australian states. D. The multicultural nature of Australia. Answers is B. Australia's history as a British colony. The Union Jack in the upper hoist quarter of the flag Australia's historical links with the United Kingdom and its British heritage. Question 16. What is the capital city of Australia? A. Sydney. B. Melbourne. C. Canberra. D. Brisbane. Answers is C. Canberra. Canberra is Australia's national capital in the Australian Capital Territory Act. It was chosen as a compromise between rival Sydney and Melbourne. Question 17. What is the largest state by area in Australia? A. Queensland, B. New South Wales, C. Western Australia, D. South Australia. Answers is C. Western Australia. Western Australia is the largest state, covering approximately of the Australian continent. Its capital city is Perth. Question 18. Which state capital is Sydney? A. Queensland, B. Victoria, C. New South Wales, D. South Australia. Answers is C. New South Wales. Sydney is the capital city of New South Wales, Australia's most populous state. It is famous for its iconic Opera House and Harbour Bridge. Question 19. Which state capital is Melbourne? A. Tasmania, B. Victoria, C. Queensland, D. Western Australia. Answers is B. Victoria. Melbourne is the capital city of Victoria, known for its vibrant arts scene, sporting events and cultural diversity. Question 20. Which state capital is Brisbane? A. New South Wales, B. Queensland, C. South Australia, D. Northern Territory. Answers is B. Queensland. Brisbane is the capital city of Queensland, a state known for its sunny climate, beautiful beaches, and access to the Great Barrier Reef. Question 21. Which state capital is Perth? A. South Australia, B. Western Australia, C. Tasmania, D. Victoria. Answers is B. Western Australia. Perth is the capital city of Western Australia on the Swan River and is known for its beautiful parks and beaches. Question 22. Which state capital is Adelaide? A. Northern Territory, B. Tasmania, C. South Australia, D. Victoria. Answers is C. South Australia. Adelaide is the capital city of South Australia, renowned for its festivals, culinary scene, and nearby wine regions. Question 23. Which state capital is Hobart? A. Victoria, B. Tasmania, C. Queensland, D. Australian Capital Territory. Answers is B. Tasmania. Hobart is the capital city of Tasmania, Australia's island state, known for its historic architecture and stunning natural beauty. Question 24. What is the capital city of the Northern Territory? A. Alice Springs, B. Cairns, C. D. Answers is C. Is the capital city of the Northern Territory, a tropical city that serves as a gateway to National Park and other unique Australian landscapes. Question 25. What is the capital city of the Australian Capital Territory Act? A. Sydney, B. Canberra, C. D. Melbourne. Answers is B. Canberra. Canberra is not only Australia's national capital, but also the capital city of the Australian Capital Territory, the smallest self-governing internal territory. Question 26. What are the fundamental principles that define Australian society? A. Strict adherence to tradition. B. Respect for the freedom, dignity and equality of all people. C. Emphasis on individual wealth and status. D. A single cultural heritage. Answers is B. Respect for the freedom, dignity, and equality of all people. Australian values include respect for individual freedom, dignity, and equality of all people, tolerance, compassion, and a spirit of a fair go. These values underpin the democratic way of life. Question 27. What does freedom of speech mean in Australia? A. The right to say anything without consequence. B. The ability to express opinions freely within the law. C. Only expressing views approved by the government. D. The right to insult others without restriction. Answers is B. The ability to express opinions freely within the law. Freedom of speech means that people are generally free to express their opinions, but this right comes with and is subject to laws preventing defamation, incitement to violence, or discrimination. Question 28. What does freedom of association mean for Australians? A. The right to only socialise with certain groups. B. The ability to form or join groups and organisations freely. C. The obligation to join community groups. D. The right to exclude others from joining any group. Answers is B. The ability to form or join groups and organisations freely. Freedom of association means that people are free to associate with others and form or join groups, such as political parties, trade unions, cultural or religious organisations, as long as it's within the law. Question 29. What is meant by the rule of law in Australia? A. Only judges make the laws. B. The government is above the law. C. Everyone is equal before the law, including the government. D. Laws can be changed arbitrarily by elected officials. Answers is C. Everyone is equal before the law, including the government. The rule of law means that all people, including those in positions of power, are subject to and accountable under the law. Laws are applied fairly and equally, and justice is administered impartially. Question 30. What is a key responsibility of all Australian citizens? A. To travel overseas frequently. B. To vote in federal and local elections. C. To own a business. D. To speak a specific language. Answers is B. To vote in federal and local elections. One of the most important for Australian citizens is to vote in federal and local government elections, as voting is compulsory and ensures democratic participation. Question 31. What is a key right of an Australian citizen? A. To live in any country. B. To stand for election to Parliament. C. To be exempt from taxes. D. To receive free universal healthcare abroad. Answers is B. To stand for election to Parliament. Australian citizens have the right to stand for election to Parliament, enabling them to represent their and contribute to the nation's governance. Question 32. What is the main role of the Australian judicial system? A. To make laws for the country. B. To implement government. C. To interpret and apply the laws. D. To manage the national budget. Answers is C. To interpret and apply the laws. The judicial system, comprising courts and judges, is responsible for interpreting and applying the laws of Australia, ensuring justice, and resolving disputes in accordance with the rule of law. Question 33. What is compulsory for Australian citizens? A. Serving in the military. B. Working for the government. C. Voting in federal and local elections. D. Paying taxes above a certain threshold. Answers is C. Voting in federal and local elections. Voting in federal and local government elections is compulsory for all eligible Australian citizens, fostering active participation in democracy. Question 34. Who are the Indigenous peoples of Australia? A. The Maori and Pacific Islanders. B. The Aboriginal and Strait Islander peoples. C. The First Fleet descendants. D. The early European settlers. Answers is B. The Aboriginal and Strait Islander peoples. The Aboriginal and Strait Islander peoples are the original inhabitants of Australia, representing diverse cultures, languages, and that stretch back tens of thousands of years. Question 35. What is the significance of the Aboriginal flag? A. It represents all Australians. B. It represents Aboriginal peoples, their land and spiritual connection. C. It represents the arrival of the First Fleet. D. It represents the colours of the Australian landscape. Answers is B. It represents Aboriginal peoples, their land and spiritual connection. The Aboriginal flag symbolises the Aboriginal peoples of Australia, black for the people, red for the land and spiritual connection to it, and the yellow circle for the sun, giver of life. Question 36. What does the Strait Islander flag represent? A. The unity of all Australian islanders. B. The distinct identity and culture of Strait Islander peoples. C. The shared heritage of Indigenous Australians. D. The fishing of Northern Australia. Answers is B. The distinct identity and culture of Strait Islander peoples. The Strait Islander flag features green for land, blue for sea, black for the people, a white headdress for culture, and a white star for the island groups. Question 37. When did the First Fleet arrive in Australia? A. 1801, B. 1770, C. 1788, D. 1901. Answers is C. 1788. The First Fleet, led by Captain Arthur Phillip, at Botany Bay and then Sydney Cove in 1788, establishing the first permanent European settlement in Australia. Question 38. What significant event occurred in 1901 in Australia? A. The discovery of gold. B. The establishment of the First Fleet. C. The federation of the Australian into a Commonwealth. D. The end of World War I. Answers is C. The federation of the Australian into a Commonwealth. On 1 January 1901, the 6 separate British of Australia united to form the Commonwealth of Australia, becoming an independent nation under a single federal government. Question 39. What is the Australian Constitution? A. A collection of traditional stories. B. The document outlining Australia's laws, government and states' powers. C. A historical treaty with Indigenous Australians. D. A set of guidelines for international trade. Answers is B. The document outlining Australia's laws, government and states' powers. The Australian Constitution is the supreme law of the land, establishing the framework for the nation's government, defining the powers of the Commonwealth Parliament, and outlining the relationship between the states and the Commonwealth. Question 40. What is the purpose of a referendum in Australia? A. To elect a new Prime Minister. B. To decide on local government issues. C. To approve changes to the Australian Constitution. D. To vote on state laws. Answers is C. to approve changes to the Australian Constitution. A referendum is a vote by the Australian people on a proposed change to the Constitution. For a change to be approved, it must achieve a double majority of voters nationally and a majority of voters in a majority of states. Question 41. Who decides on the laws for the whole of Australia? A. State parliaments, B. Local councils, C. The Commonwealth Parliament, D. The Supreme Court. Answers is C. The Commonwealth Parliament. The Commonwealth Parliament, comprising the Senate and the House of, is responsible for making laws that apply to all of Australia on matters in the Constitution. Question 42. What are the colours of the Australian national sporting colours? A. Red, white and blue, B. Green and gold, C. Black and yellow, D. Blue and white. Answers is B. Green and gold. Green and gold are the national sporting colours of Australia, reflecting the colours of the golden wattle, Australia's national floral emblem. Question 43. What is one important value that defines Australian? A. Individual success above all else, B. A focus on formal, C. Loyalty, equality and helping others, D. Strict adherence to social classes. Answers is C. Loyalty, equality and helping others. Is a core Australian value, embodying loyalty, camaraderie and a willingness to help others, especially in times of need. It represents a spirit of equality and shared experience. Question 44. What is the term for treating everyone fairly and equally under the law? A. Prejudice, B. Discrimination, C. A fair go, D. Favouritism. Answers is C. A fair go. A fair go is an Australian value that the principle of treating everyone fairly and equally, providing based on merit, and ensuring justice for all. Question 45. What does multiculturalism mean in Australia? A. Everyone must adopt the same culture. B. A society where diverse cultures are accepted and respected. C. Only certain cultures are permitted. D. The dominance of one culture over others. Answers is B. A society where diverse cultures are accepted and respected. Multiculturalism is a defining feature of Australian society, meaning that people from all cultural backgrounds are welcome, their cultures are respected, and everyone is to participate in society. Question 46. Which ocean borders Australia to the west? A. Pacific Ocean, B. Atlantic Ocean, C. Indian Ocean, D. Southern Ocean. Answers is C. Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean forms Australia's western coastline, stretching from the country's southern tip up to its northern tropical regions. Question 47. Which ocean borders Australia to the east? A. Indian Ocean, B. Atlantic Ocean, C. Pacific Ocean, D. Southern Ocean. Answers is C. Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean borders Australia's eastern coastline, home to the Great Barrier Reef and many popular beaches. Question 48. What is the name of the large body of water south of Australia? A. Sea, B. Coral Sea, C. Southern Ocean, D. Great Australian Bight. Answers is C. Southern Ocean. The Southern Ocean lies to the south of Australia, extending towards Antarctica. Its cold waters influence Australia's southern climate. Question 49. What is the name of Australia's largest natural landmark? A. Sandstone monolith. A. Mount. B. The 12 Apostles. C. Uluru Rock. D. Carter. Answers is C. Uluru Rock. Uluru, also known as Rock, is a massive sandstone monolith in the heart of the Northern Territory. It holds immense cultural significance for the Aboriginal people. Question 50. What is the role of local government in Australia? A. To manage national defence. B. To make laws for the entire state. C. To provide services and infrastructure for local. D. To control foreign policy. Answers is C. To provide services and infrastructure for local. Local governments, such as councils, are responsible for local services like waste collection, road maintenance, town planning, and community for their specific areas. Question 51. When is Remembrance Day observed in Australia? A. January. B. April. C. November. D. June. Answers is C. November. Remembrance Day is observed on November each year to commemorate the armistice signed between the Allies and Germany in 1918, marking the end of World War I. It honours all who have died in wars. Question 52. Which explorer charted the eastern coast of Australia in 1770? A. William. B. Dirk. C. Captain James Cook. D. Abel. Answers is C. Captain James Cook. Captain James Cook extensively charted the eastern coast of Australia in 1770, claiming it for Great Britain and naming it New South Wales. Question 53. What was the main reason for establishing the first European settlement in Australia? A. To find gold. B. To establish a new trading post. C. To set up a penal colony. D. To explore for new resources. Answers is C. To set up a penal colony. The first fleet was sent to Australia to establish a penal colony to relieve overcrowding in British prisons after the loss of the American. Question 54. What important contribution did women make to the early development of Australia? A. They primarily worked in mining. B. They the survival of an established. C. They were mostly involved in government administration. D. They led exploration parties into the interior. Answers is B. They the survival of an established. Women, both convicts and free settlers, played a crucial role in the early by raising, establishing homes, and contributing to the social and economic fabric, ensuring the long-term viability of the settlements. Question 55. What attracted many people to Australia during the A. Free land grants for farming. B. The discovery of gold. C. Government jobs in new settlements. D. In the wool industry. Answers is B. The discovery of gold. The gold rushes of particularly in Victoria and New South Wales, led to a massive influx of immigrants from around the world, significantly increasing Australia's population and cultural diversity. Question 56. How many states and does Australia have? A. 6 states and 3. B. 6 states and 2 major. C. 7 states and 2. D. 8 states and 1 territory. Answers is B. 6 states and 2 major. Australia consists of 6 states: New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, South Australia, Western Australia, Tasmania, and 2 major mainland Northern Territory, Australian Capital Territory. Question 57. What is the Australian system of government based on? A rule, B, religious law, C, the Westminster system, D, direct popular vote on all laws. Answers is C, the Westminster system. Australia's system of government is largely based on the Westminster system, inherited from the United Kingdom, which features a parliamentary democracy within a constitutional monarchy. Question 58. What is the name given to the dreaming stories in Indigenous cultures? A, folklore, B, oral of creation, land and law, C, ancient, D, secret tribal rituals. Answers is B, oral of creation, land and law. The dreaming, or dreamtime, represents the Aboriginal and Strait Islander understanding of the world, including creation, spiritual beliefs, ancestral beings, and the laws and customs for living. Question 59. What does the term reconciliation refer to in an Australian context? A political party, B, a process of healing and unity between Indigenous and Australians, C, a type of environmental conservation, D, a historical land treaty. Answers is B, a process of healing and unity between Indigenous and Australians. Reconciliation refers to the process of building better relationships between Aboriginal and Strait Islander peoples and the wider Australian community, based on trust, respect, and mutual understanding. Question 60. What is the significance of the Great Barrier Reef? A, it is Australia's deepest ocean trench. B, it is the world's largest coral reef system. C, it is a major oil and gas reserve. D, it is a vast desert area. Answers is B, it is the world's largest coral reef system. The Great Barrier Reef off the coast of Queensland is the world's largest coral reef system, renowned for its immense biodiversity and natural beauty. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Question 61. What is one civic responsibility of an Australian citizen? A, attending public protests regularly. B, serving on a jury if called upon. C, donating to political parties. D, learning a new language every year. Answers is B, serving on a jury if called upon. Serving on a jury is a civic responsibility for eligible Australian citizens, ensuring the fair administration of justice by allowing ordinary citizens to participate in legal proceedings. Question 62. What is a right that Australian citizens have? A, the right to bear arms. B, the right to apply for an Australian passport. C, the right to ignore laws they disagree with. D, the right to travel to any country without a visa. Answers is B, the right to apply for an Australian passport. An Australian citizen has the right to apply for an Australian passport, which allows them to travel internationally as a citizen of Australia. Question 63. What is the main role of the Prime Minister? A, to represent the King. B, to lead the executive government and cabinet. C, to interpret laws. D, to be the head of a state government. Answers is B, to lead the executive government and cabinet. The Prime Minister leads the executive branch of government, heads the cabinet, and oversees the implementation of government policy. They are the chief political figure in Australia. Question 64. What is the significance of the Commonwealth Star on the Australian flag? A. It represents the national capital. B. It represents the 6 states and the of Australia. C. It symbolises Australia's indigenous heritage. D. It represents Australia's alliance with other nations. Answers is B. It represents the 6 states and the of Australia. The 7 points of the Commonwealth Star represent the 6 original states and the combined of Australia, symbolising their federation into the Commonwealth. Question 65. What is the role of the Australian Federal Police? A. To enforce state laws. B. To provide local community policing. C. To enforce federal laws and protect Commonwealth interests. D. To manage traffic within capital. Answers is C. To enforce federal laws and protect Commonwealth interests. There is the primary law enforcement agency of the Australian government. Its role includes investigating crimes against Commonwealth law and protecting national security interests. Question 66. In Australia, what does freedom of religion mean? A. Only one religion is allowed. B. The right to practice any religion or none without discrimination. C. All citizens must attend religious services. D. Only ancient religions are protected. Answers is B. The right to practice any religion or none without discrimination. Freedom of religion means that people are free to choose and practice any religion, or to choose not to practice any religion, without fear of discrimination or coercion. It is a protected value in Australia. Question 67. What are the colours of the Aboriginal flag? A. Blue, white and red. B. Green and gold. C. Black, red and yellow. D. Green, blue and white. Answers is C. Black, red and yellow. The Aboriginal flag consists of a black top half, a red bottom half, and a yellow circle in the centre. Each colour holds specific cultural significance. Question 68. What is the main purpose of the Australian High Court? A. To manage state elections. B. To advise the C. To interpret the Constitution and hear appeals. D. To legislate new laws. Answers is C. To interpret the Constitution and hear appeals. The High Court of Australia is the highest court in the Australian judicial system. Its primary functions include interpreting the Constitution and acting as the final court of appeal. Question 69. What does it mean to say Australia is a secular country? A. Religion is banned from public life. B. There is no official state religion, and government is separate from religious institutions. C. All citizens must follow one specific religion. D. Only people can hold public office. Answers is B. There is no official state religion, and government is separate from religious institutions. Being a secular country means that the government and its institutions are separate from religious institutions. There is no official state religion, and the state does not favour any particular religion. Question 70. What important document sets out the basic rules for Australia's government? A. The Treaty of Paris. B. The Magna. C. The Australian Constitution. D. The Bill of Rights. Answers is C. The Australian Constitution. The Australian Constitution, the Commonwealth of Australia as a federal system of government, outlines the powers of the Parliament, executive and judiciary. and sets out fundamental rules for the nation. Question 71. When did women first get the right to vote and stand for federal parliament in Australia? A. 1890, B. 1902, C. 1945, D. 1967. Answers is B. 1902. The Commonwealth Franchise Act 1902 granted women throughout Australia the right to vote in federal elections and to stand for election to the federal parliament, making Australia one of the first to do so. Question 72. What is the meaning of equality of men and women in Australia? A. Men and women have identical jobs. B. Men and women have the same rights and under the law. C. Women must always defer to men. D. Men and women are separate in society. Answers is B. Men and women have the same rights and under the law. Equality of men and women means that all people, regardless of gender, have the same rights, and in Australian society, and are treated equally before the law. Question 73. What is the Australian National Police Remembrance Day? A day for police to take off work. B. A day to honour police officers who have died in the line of duty. C. A day to recruit new police officers. D. A day to celebrate police achievements. Answers is B. A day to honour police officers who have died in the line of duty. National Police Remembrance Day, observed on 29 September, is a day to honour and remember police officers who have lost their lives serving there across Australia and the Pacific. Question 74. What is the significance of the Southern Cross on the Australian flag? A. It represents Australia's military history. B. It is a prominent constellation visible from Australia. C. It symbolises a guiding star for explorers. D. It represents Australia's 5 largest. Answers is B. It is a prominent constellation visible from Australia. The Southern Cross is a constellation of 5 stars clearly visible in the southern hemisphere sky, and has been a significant navigational aid and symbol for Australia since early settlement. Question 75. What does the term native title refer to in Australia? A type of land ownership for all Australians. B. The legal recognition of Indigenous peoples' traditional rights to land and water. C. A government scheme for buying land. D. The right to settle on any unclaimed land. Answers is B. The legal recognition of Indigenous peoples' traditional rights to land and water. Native title is the legal recognition in Australian law that Aboriginal and Strait Islander peoples have rights and interests in land and waters from their traditional laws and customs. Question 76. What is the Australian currency called? A. Pound sterling. B. Australian dollars. C. D. Yen. Answers is B. Australian dollars. The official currency of Australia is the Australian dollar, which is used across all states and... Question 77. What is the largest desert in Australia? A. Simpson Desert. B. Great Victoria Desert. C. Gibson Desert. D. Desert. Answers is B. Great Victoria Desert. The Great Victoria Desert is the largest desert in Australia, covering a vast arid and region in Western Australia and South Australia. Question 78. What is the main legislative body at the level? A. The Commonwealth Parliament. B. Local councils. C. State or legislative. D. The High Court. Answers is C, state or legislative. Each Australian state has its own parliament, e.g., Parliament of and the Northern Territory and Act have legislative, which are responsible for making laws for their respective jurisdictions. Question 79. What is the role of the Australian Electoral Commission? A. To manage the national budget. B. To run federal elections and referendums. C. To appoint members of Parliament. D. To audit government spending. Answers is B. To run federal elections and referendums. The Australian Electoral Commission is an independent statutory authority responsible for conducting federal elections, by-elections and referendums, and maintaining the electoral roll. Question 80. What year did Indigenous Australians gain the right to vote in all federal elections? A. 1901, B. 1949, C. 1967, D. 1984. Answers is B, 1949. While some Indigenous Australians could vote in state elections earlier, the Commonwealth Electoral Act 1949 granted all Aboriginal people the right to vote in federal elections, although it wasn't made compulsory until 1984. Question 81. What significant event for Indigenous Australians occurred in 1967? A. The first Aboriginal senator was elected. B. A referendum to include Indigenous Australians in the census and allow the Commonwealth to make laws for them. C. The establishment of native title. D. The national apology to the stolen generations. Answers is B. A referendum to include Indigenous Australians in the census and allow the Commonwealth to make laws for them. The 1967 referendum overwhelmingly approved changes to the Constitution, allowing Aboriginal and Strait Islander peoples to be counted in the census and enabling the Commonwealth Parliament to make laws for them. Question 82. Who was the first Prime Minister of Australia? A. Captain Arthur Phillip, B. Henry, C. Edmund Barton, D. Alfred. Answers is C. Edmund Barton. Sir Edmund Barton served as the first Prime Minister of Australia from 1901 to 1903, leading the newly formed Commonwealth after Federation. Question 83. What is the primary role of the Australian Senate? A. To initiate all new money bills. B. To represent the interests of the states and scrutinise legislation. C. To implement government policy. D. To appoint the Prime Minister. Answers is B. To represent the interests of the states and scrutinise legislation. The Senate, often called the States House, represents the states and equally, and its primary role is to scrutinise legislation passed by the House of and initiate its own bills. Question 84. How is the Prime Minister chosen in Australia? A. Direct popular vote by all citizens. B. Appointed by the leader of the political party or coalition that commands a majority in the House of D. By the Senate. Answers is C. The leader of the political party or coalition that commands a majority in the House of. The Prime Minister is the leader of the political party or coalition of parties that wins the majority of seats in the House of at a federal election. Question 85. What is the Australian national animal? A. The koala, B. The emu, C. The kangaroo, D. The platypus. Answers is C, the kangaroo. While both the kangaroo and emu are on the coat of arms, the kangaroo is widely recognized as Australia's most iconic native animal and a facto national animal. Question 86. What is the name of Australia's highest mountain? A. Mount Everest, B. Mount C. Mount Asa, D. Mount Augustus. Answers is B. Mount. Mount in the Snowy of New South Wales is the highest peak on mainland Australia, standing at 228 metres. Question 87. What significant event in Australian history began in 1851? A. The arrival of the First Fleet, B. The Australian Gold Rush, C. Federation, D. World War I. Answers is B. The Australian Gold Rush. The discovery of gold near Bathurst in 1851 marked the beginning of the Australian Gold Rush, which profoundly the country's demographics and economy. Question 88. What is the meaning of in Australian culture? A. Rivalry among friends, B. Exclusive friendship groups, C. A strong bond of friendship, loyalty and mutual support, D. Formality in social interactions. Answers is C. A strong bond of friendship, loyalty and mutual support. Is a deeply ingrained Australian value, signifying a strong sense of camaraderie, loyalty, equality and helping one another, often without expectation of return. Question 89. What does Australia Day commemorate? A. The Queen's birthday, B. The landing of the First Fleet in 1788, C. The day Australia became independent, D. The first Olympic Games held in Australia. Answers is B. The landing of the First Fleet in 1788. Australia Day marks the anniversary of the 1788 arrival of the First Fleet of British ships at Port Jackson, New South Wales, and the raising of the British flag at Sydney Cove. Question 90. What is one way citizens can participate in Australia's democracy? A. By ignoring political news, B. By campaigning for international elections, C. By joining a political party or community group, D. By refusing to pay taxes. Answers is C. By joining a political party or community group. Joining a political party or community group is an effective way for citizens to engage with the democratic process, advocate for issues they care about, and influence public policy. Question 91. What are the colours of the Strait Islander flag? A. Black, red and yellow, B. Green, blue, black and white, C. Blue, white and red, D. Green and gold. Answers is B. Green, blue, black and white. The Strait Islander flag features green panels at the top and bottom, a blue panel in the middle, separated by thin black lines with a white headdress and a star in the centre. Question 92. What is the Australian form of government called? A totalitarian state, B. A republic with a president, C. A parliamentary democracy with a constitutional monarch, D. A military junta. Answers is C. A parliamentary democracy with a constitutional monarch. Australia's governmental system is a unique blend of parliamentary democracy, where elected representatives govern, and a constitutional monarchy, where the king is the head of state. Question 93. What is the name given to the first inhabitants of mainland Australia? A. Maori, B. Aboriginal peoples, C. Strait Islanders, D. New Zealanders. Answers is B. Aboriginal peoples. Aboriginal peoples are the original inhabitants of mainland Australia, with a rich and diverse cultural heritage spanning many thousands of years. Question 94. Where does the Australian government meet? A. Sydney Opera House, B. Parliament House in Canberra, C. Melbourne Town Hall, D. Government House in each state capital. Answers is B. Parliament House in Canberra. The Australian Parliament House in Canberra is the meeting place of the Commonwealth Parliament, where federal laws are debated and passed. Question 95. What is the main function of the House of A. To review constitutional amendments, B. To represent the people, form government and make laws, C. To represent state interests, D. To serve as the final court of appeal. Answers is B. To represent the people, form government and make laws. The House of is the People's House, where members are elected to represent specific electorates. It's where government is formed and most legislation originates. Question 96. What are Australian laws based on? A. Ancient Roman law, B. A mix of common law, statute law and constitutional law, C. Religious texts, D. International only. Answers is B. A mix of common law, statute law and constitutional law. Australia's legal system is primarily based on common law developed through judicial decisions, supplemented by statute law made by parliaments, and constitutional law, the supreme law. Question 97. What is the significance of the stolen generations? A. A group of early European settlers, B. Indigenous children forcibly removed from there by government, C. The first generation of Australian citizens, D. A term for immigrants who after World War. Answers is B. Indigenous children forcibly removed from there by government. The stolen generations refers to the policy of forcibly removing Aboriginal and Strait Islander children from there, enacted by Australian governments and churches from the early to the, causing immense harm. Question 98. What is the name of the longest river in Australia? A. The Darling River, B. The Murrumbidgee River, C. The Murray River, D. The Brisbane River. Answers is C. The Murray River. The Murray River is Australia's longest river, flowing through New South Wales, Victoria and South Australia, and forming a vital part of the basin system. Question 99. What type of economy does Australia have? A. A command economy, B. A market economy, C. A traditional economy, D. A centrally planned economy. Answers is B. A market economy. Australia has a prosperous market economy by free markets, private enterprise, and low barriers to trade and investment. It is one of the world's most robust and developed. Question 100. What is the primary role of the Australian Defence Force? A. To maintain domestic law and order, B. To defend Australia and its national interests, C. To provide foreign aid only, D. To conduct scientific research. Answers is B. To defend Australia and its national interests. The Australian Defence Force is responsible for defending Australia and its national interests. It comprises the Royal Australian Navy, the Australian Army, and the Royal Australian Air Force. Question 101. Which major Australian city is known for its iconic opera house? A. Melbourne, B. Brisbane, C. Sydney, D. Perth. Answers is C. Sydney. Sydney is home to the Sydney Opera House, a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the century's most distinctive buildings. Question 102. What is a bill in the Australian Parliament? A financial payment due. B. A proposed law presented to Parliament. C. A parliamentary debate summary. D. An official government report. Answers is B. A proposed law presented to Parliament. A bill is a proposed law that is introduced into either the House of or the Senate for consideration. If passed by both houses and assented to by the, it becomes an Act of Parliament law. Question 103. What are the three main branches of Australia's government? A. Federal, state, local. B. Executive, legislative, judicial. C. Military, police, public service. D. Monarchy, Parliament, Prime Minister. Answers is B. Executive, legislative, judicial. Australia's government operates under a separation of powers into three branches. The legislative parliament makes laws, the executive government administers laws, and the judicial courts interpret laws. Question 104. What does the term Dreamtime often refer to for Indigenous Australians? A specific time of day for. B. The creation period and ancestral past, continuing into the present. C. A time for sleep and rest. D. A type of traditional dance. Answers is B. The creation period and ancestral past, continuing into the present. Dreamtime or the dreaming is a complex concept representing the Aboriginal worldview, encompassing creation stories, spiritual beliefs, the laws of the land, and the spiritual relationship between people and country. Question 105. What is the purpose of the Australian Pledge of Allegiance for new citizens? A. To declare loyalty to a political party. B. To declare loyalty to Australia and its people, values and laws. C. To promise to support only products. D. To commit to military service. Answers is B. To declare loyalty to Australia and its people, values and laws. The Pledge of Allegiance is a solemn public declaration made by new citizens, signifying their commitment to Australia, its democratic beliefs, rights and laws, and their loyalty to the nation. Question 106. What is Australia's largest island state? A. Kangaroo Island. B. Fraser Island. C. Tasmania. D. Island. Answers is C. Tasmania. Tasmania is Australia's only island state, south of the mainland across the Bass Strait, known for its rugged wilderness and unique wildlife. Question 107. What is the approximate population of Australia? A. Around 10 million. B. Around 26 million. C. Around 50 million. D. Around 100 million. Answers is B. Around 26 million. Australia's population is relatively small for its landmass, with the majority concentrated in coastal urban areas. The current population is around 26 million people. Question 108. What is the Australian system for counting votes called? A. B. Preferential voting. C. Proportional representation. D. Direct democracy. Answers is B, preferential voting. Australia primarily uses preferential voting, also known as voting for federal elections, where voters rank candidates in order of preference, ensuring the winning candidate has a majority of support. Question 109. What important contribution did convicts make to early Australia? A. They established the first banks. B. They built much of the early infrastructure and labour. C. They discovered major gold fields. D. They served as political leaders. Answers is B. They built much of the early infrastructure and labour. Convicts provided their essential labour force for the early clearing land, building roads, bridges and buildings, which was crucial for the physical development of the settlements. Question 110. What is the meaning of responsible government in Australia? A. The government is accountable only to the B. The government is responsible to the Parliament, which is responsible to the people. C. The government is accountable only to the King. D. The government is chosen by the courts. Answers is B. The government is responsible to the Parliament, which is responsible to the people. Responsible government means that the government executive must maintain the confidence of the Parliament legislature, and ultimately the people, to remain in power, are accountable to Parliament. Question 111. What is the Great Dividing Range? A. A major river system. B. Australia's largest desert. C. A vast mountain range running along Australia's east coast. D. A major agricultural region. Answers is C. A vast mountain range running along Australia's east coast. The Great Dividing Range is Australia's most substantial mountain range, stretching over 500 kilometres from Queensland through New South Wales and into Victoria, influencing the continent's climate and rivers. Question 112. What is the symbol of judicial authority in Australian courts? A. A specific uniform. B. The Australian coat of arms displayed in courtrooms. C. A traditional Indigenous artwork. D. A particular type of flag. Answers is B. The Australian coat of arms displayed in courtrooms. The Australian coat of arms is displayed in Australian courtrooms as a symbol of judicial authority, representing the Commonwealth of Australia and the impartial application of its laws. Question 113. What is the purpose of the Federal Executive Council? A. To debate new laws. B. To advise the on government matters. C. To represent Australia internationally. D. To manage the federal electoral process. Answers is B. To advise the on government matters. The Federal Executive Council is the formal body established by the Constitution to advise the, consisting of all current and former. Its advice is usually acted upon by the. Question 114. What is Australia's largest national park? A. Blue National Park. B. National Park. C. National Park. D. National Park. Answers is B. National Park. National Park in the Northern Territory is Australia's largest national park. It is a dual World Heritage Area, recognised for both its natural and cultural values, including ancient Aboriginal rock art. Question 115. What is the traditional Aboriginal hunting tool famous for returning to the thrower? A. A spear. B. A boomerang. C. A didgeridoo. D. A woomera. Answers is B. A boomerang. The boomerang is an iconic traditional Aboriginal hunting tool. While not all boomerangs return, the returning type is for its aerodynamic properties. Question 116. What important document did Prime Minister Rudd issue in 2008? A. A new national anthem. B. The apology to the stolen generations. C. A declaration of independence. D. A new trade agreement. Answers is B. The apology to the stolen generations. In 2008, Prime Minister Rudd delivered a formal apology to the stolen generations, acknowledging the historical injustices caused by past government of removing Aboriginal and Strait Islander children from there. Question 117. What is the role of the Cabinet in the Australian government? A. To solely manage the electoral process. B. To develop and coordinate government. C. To interpret constitutional law. D. To oversee state governments. Answers is B. To develop and coordinate government. The Cabinet, led by the Prime Minister and comprising senior ministers, is the main decision-making body of the executive government, responsible for developing and coordinating and legislation. Question 118. What is Australia's traditional form of land management by Indigenous peoples? A. Large-scale industrial farming. B. Sustainable practices like fire stick farming and seasonal hunting. C. Extensive irrigation systems. D. Building permanent settlements with fixed agriculture. Answers is B. Sustainable practices like fire stick farming and seasonal hunting. Indigenous Australians have a deep knowledge of sustainable land management, including fire stick farming, controlled burning to promote regrowth and facilitate hunting, and seasonal movements to ensure resources were not overused. Question 119. What is the Australian National Day of Mourning? A. A public holiday for all citizens. B. A day observed by Indigenous Australians on January to remember invasion. C. A day commemorating the end of World War. D. A day for expressing national pride. Answers is B. A day observed by Indigenous Australians on January to remember invasion. While January is Australia Day, many Indigenous Australians and their supporters refer to it as Invasion Day or A Day of Mourning, to acknowledge the devastating impact of European colonisation on Indigenous peoples. Question 120. What is one feature of Australia's democratic elections? A. Public declaration of votes. B. Voting is secret, allowing free choice. C. Only property owners can vote. D. Are held infrequently. Answers is B. Voting is secret, allowing free choice. The secret ballot is a fundamental principle of Australian democracy, ensuring that voters can cast their vote privately without fear of intimidation or coercion, allowing for free and genuine choice. Question 121. What is the national gemstone of Australia? A. Diamond. B. Sapphire. C. Opal. D. Emerald. Answers is C. Opal. Opal was proclaimed Australia's national gemstone in 1993. Australia produces over of the world's opals, which are known for their unique play of colours. Question 122. What is one responsibility of Australian parents? A. To homeschool their children. B. To ensure their children attend school. C. To teach their children a specific religion. D. To encourage children to vote from a young age. Answers is B. To ensure their children attend school. Australian law requires parents or guardians to ensure their children attend school, contributing to their education and development, which is vital for their future and society. Question 123. What is the term for the Queen's Birthday public holiday in Australia? A. Australia Day. B. King's Birthday observed. C. Commonwealth Day. D. Coronation Day. Answers is B. King's Birthday observed. The public holiday historically known as the Queen's Birthday is now officially known as the King's Birthday observed, celebrated on the second Monday in June in most states. And Question 124. What is the term for the distinct cultural group native to the islands between mainland Australia and Papua New Guinea? A. Aboriginal peoples. B. Pacific Islanders. C. Strait Islander peoples. D. Maori peoples. Answers is C. Strait Islander peoples. The Strait Islander peoples are a distinct indigenous population of Australia, with a unique maritime culture, traditions and language, inhabiting the islands in the strait. Question 125. What is the Australian democratic value of tolerance? A. Accepting only mainstream views. B. Allowing differences in beliefs and opinions, even if you disagree. C. Forcing everyone to agree on important matters. D. Ignoring all forms of conflict. Answers is B. Allowing differences in beliefs and opinions, even if you disagree. Tolerance is a key Australian value, meaning that Australians respect and accept the right of others to hold different beliefs, express different opinions, and practice different cultures, as long as it adheres to Australian law. Question 126. What are the colours of the Australian coat of arms? A. Blue and white. B. Green and gold with other colours for the shields. C. Red, white and blue. D. Black, red and yellow. Answers is B. Green and gold with other colours for the shields. The Australian coat of arms features a shield with the badges of the 6 states, supported by a kangaroo and an emu, set against a background of golden wattle, reflecting the national colours of green and gold. Question 127. What are human rights in the Australian context? A. Rights that apply only to citizens by birth. B. Basic rights and freedoms belonging to every person, protected by law and international agreements. C. Granted by the government at will. D. Rights that only apply to certain religious groups. Answers is B. Basic rights and freedoms belonging to every person, protected by law and international agreements. Human rights are fundamental rights inherent to all human beings, universally protected. In Australia, these rights are protected through common law, legislation, and international human rights. Question 128. What is the main role of the governor of a state? A. To lead the state government as premier. B. To represent the king in the state. C. To be the head of the state police force. D. To manage the state's finances. Answers is B. To represent the king in the state. Similar to there at the federal level, each state has a governor who represents the king within that state and performs constitutional and ceremonial. Question 129. What is the name for the period of early Australian history when convicts were sent from Britain? A. The Gold Rush era. B. The Federation period. C. The Colonial era or Penal era. D. The Free Settlement period. Answers is C, the colonial era or penal era, the period from 1788 onwards, during which Australia was established as a British colony primarily for convicts, is known as the colonial or penal era, marked by the significant role of transported prisoners. Question 130. What is the importance of the Australian national anthem, Advance Australia Fair? A. It promotes a specific political party. B. It celebrates Australia's identity, land and people. C. It is a war song to encourage military service. D. It outlines the of citizens. Answers is B. It celebrates Australia's identity, land and people. Advance Australia Fair is the song that officially represents Australia. Its lyrics and melody aim to evoke a sense of national pride and unity by celebrating the country's beauty, history, and multicultural character. Question 131. What does the secret ballot ensure in Australian elections? A. That voters must disclose their choice to officials. B. That votes are counted secretly by officials. C. That citizens can cast their vote privately and without fear. D. That only secret organizations can participate in politics. Answers is C. That citizens can cast their vote privately and without fear. The secret ballot is a core feature of Australia's democratic elections, protecting the voters' privacy and freedom to choose their preferred candidate or party without external pressure or fear of reprisal. Question 132. What is one responsibility of an Australian citizen travelling overseas? A. To only stay in luxury hotels. B. To obey the laws of the they visit. C. To represent Australia in sporting events. D. To purchase expensive souvenirs. Answers is B. To obey the laws of the they visit. Australian citizens travelling overseas are expected to respect and obey the laws of the they are visiting. The Australian government cannot intervene if a citizen breaks foreign laws. Question 133. What is the name of Australia's largest lake? A. Lake Eyre. B. Lake Argyll. C. Lake Burley Griffin. D. Lake. Answers is B. Lake Argyll. Lake Argyll in Western Australia is one of the largest storage areas in Australia by the damming of the river. Lake Eyre is larger but is a salt lake that often dries up. Question 134. What is the purpose of Australia's parliamentary system? A. To allow a single leader to make all decisions. B. To ensure democratic representation and through elected members. C. To maintain a system of inherited leadership. D. To prevent public participation in government. Answers is B. To ensure democratic representation and through elected members. Australia's parliamentary system is designed to ensure that the government is formed by elected representatives, accountable to the people, and that laws are made through a democratic process of debate and voting. Question 135. Who has the power to assent to approve bills passed by the Parliament? A. The Prime Minister. B. The Speaker of the House. C. The Chief Justice. Answers is C. After a bill passes both the House of and the Senate, it is presented to the for royal assent, which formally enacts it as an Act of Parliament law. Question 136. What is one aspect of the fair go value in Australia? A. Giving preferential treatment to specific groups. B. Treating people with respect and providing equal. C. Always taking the easy option. D. Strict adherence to social hierarchy. Answers is B, treating people with respect and providing equal. The fair go means that Australians believe in treating others with respect, giving everyone a chance, and ensuring are available to all regardless of background, as long as they contribute to society. Question 137. What is Australia's national sport, though unofficially? A. Cricket. B. Australian rules football. C. Rugby league. D. Soccer. Answers is B. Australian rules football. While not officially proclaimed, Australian rules football is often considered Australia's national sport, particularly in the southern states, with a deep cultural significance and widespread following. Question 138. What is the significance of the year 1770 in Australian history? A. Federation of Australia. B. Captain James Cook charting the eastern coast. C. The first gold discovery. D. The arrival of the first fleet. Answers is B. Captain James Cook charting the eastern coast. In 1770, Captain James Cook sailed along and mapped the eastern coast of Australia in the endeavour, claiming it for Britain and naming it New South Wales. Question 139. What are the of the Commonwealth Government? A. Local road maintenance. B. Defence, foreign affairs and national economy. C. Public transport within states. D. Local park management. Answers is B. Defence, foreign affairs and national economy. The Commonwealth Government is responsible for national issues such as defence, foreign policy, immigration, national economic management, trade and social security. Question 140. What is the largest rock art site in Australia? A. National Park. B. Kimberley Region. C. Uluru. D. Grampians National Park. Answers is A. National Park. National Park in the Northern Territory is home to one of the greatest concentrations of Aboriginal rock art sites in the world, some dating back tens of thousands of years. Question 141. What is the role of the Leader of the Opposition in federal parliament? A. To support all government. B. To act as an alternative Prime Minister and scrutinise the government. C. To manage the parliamentary budget. D. To represent Australia internationally. Answers is B. To act as an alternative Prime Minister and scrutinise the government. The Leader of the Opposition leads the largest party in the House of. Their role is to scrutinise government actions, present alternative, and hold the government accountable. Question 142. What is the significance of the poppy on Anzac Day? A. It represents Australia's national flower. B. It symbolises remembrance of those who died in war, particularly in Flanders Fields. C. It represents peace and new beginnings. D. It is a symbol of heroism in battle. Answers is B. It symbolises remembrance of those who died in war, particularly in Flanders Fields. The red poppy is a widely recognised symbol of remembrance for those who died in conflict, particularly associated with the fields of Flanders during World War I, and worn on Anzac Day and Remembrance Day. Question 143. What is one characteristic of Australian English? A. It uses only formal language. B. It includes unique slang and colloquialisms. C. It has very few vowels. D. It is identical to British English. Answers is B. It includes unique slang and colloquialisms. Australian English is a distinct dialect with its own vocabulary, pronunciation, and particularly famous for its colourful slang and colloquialisms, which reflect aspects of Australian culture and identity. Question 144. What does Australia's commitment to peace mean? A. Never engaging in international relations. B. Seeking peaceful resolution to international disputes and maintaining a stable society. C. Avoiding all forms of disagreement. D. Refusing to ever defend itself. Answers is B. Seeking peaceful resolution to international disputes and maintaining a stable society. Australia actively participates in international efforts for peace and security, advocating for diplomatic solutions to conflicts, and maintains a society where disputes are resolved peacefully through law. Question 145. What is the Australian legal principle of innocent until proven guilty? A. Everyone is automatically considered innocent. B. A person accused of a crime is innocent until the prosecution proves guilt beyond reasonable doubt. C. The accused must prove their innocence. D. Only judges can decide guilt or innocence. Answers is B. A person accused of a crime is innocent until the prosecution proves guilt beyond reasonable doubt. This fundamental principle of justice means that the burden of proof lies with the prosecution, and an accused person is not required to prove their innocence. This protects individual. Question 146. What are Australia's key exports? A. Oil and gas products. B. Manufactured electronics. C. Minerals e.g. iron ore, coal and agricultural products. D. Luxury vehicles. Answers is C. Minerals e.g. iron ore, coal and agricultural products. Australia is a major global exporter of natural resources, particularly iron ore, coal and natural gas, as well as agricultural products like wool, beef and wheat, reflecting its rich primary. Question 147. What is the Australian national gemstone? A. Diamond. B. Emerald. C. Opal. D. Ruby. Answers is C. Opal. The opal, known for its unique iridescent colours, is Australia's national gemstone. Australia is the world's leading producer of opals. Question 148. What is the name of the traditional Aboriginal musical instrument? A. Wind instrument. A. Clapsticks. B. Boomerang. C. Didgeridoo. D. Corroboree drum. Answers is C. Didgeridoo. The didgeridoo is an ancient wind instrument traditionally used by Aboriginal peoples of northern Australia. It produces a distinctive drone, often accompanied by singing and dancing. Question 149. What is the role of an ombudsman in Australia? A. To lead a state government. B. To mediate disputes between businesses. C. To investigate complaints about government and ensure fair administrative action. D. To represent Australia in international courts. Answers is C. To investigate complaints about government and ensure fair administrative action. An ombudsman is an independent official who investigates complaints about government administration, federal, state, or local and some private organisations, ensuring fair and accountable governance for the public. Question 150. What is the name of Australia's national land mammal? A. Koala. B. Echidna. C. Kangaroo. D. Wombat. Answers is C. Kangaroo. The kangaroo is Australia's most recognisable native land mammal and features prominently on the national coat of arms, symbolising a nation that always moves forward.